Hi, my name is Brooke Rollerson. I'm one of the owners here at Revelation Design here in Amelia Island, Florida. We have been bringing you videos on tips and tricks and different things to help your holidays really easy for Christmas time, decorating trees, wreath making, garlands, everything. So be sure to watch our other videos on all of our tips. But this year, there's been a couple of changes, and I think it's pretty obvious that in January of 2023, I found a mass in my breast for it's something that alarmed us. And after going to get a mammogram and several gynecologist visits, and then again another mammogram and an ultrasound, I was finally diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. And so it's been a journey. In May of this year is when they found that they actually did a biopsy and found out that it was breast cancer. So since then, I have been going through treatments as chemo and test and everything that you could possibly imagine under the big cancer word. And so I am coming to you with high hopes and good spirits to let you know that I am still doing the videos. I actually completed my 3rd round of chemo. I am full of energy. I've had some hiccups here and there, as chemo typically does, the typical fatigue, but it's random. Nothing that's actually going to hold me down or stop me from decorating these Christmas trees for the holidays and coming to you with a message of high hopes and just great spiritual guidance in everything that I'm doing. So I just wanted to let you know that you're going to be seeing some videos, and I am going to be wearing beautiful, lovely scarves that have been donated to me. And they've been beautiful, and I love all of the prayers and the gifts and everything that y'all have been sending me. I wanted to thank you so much on behalf of myself and my family and my staff for being so supportive of everything that you do. But I also want to make sure that I encourage all of the women out there and men that if you find a lump or if you don't find a lump, that make sure you always do your self-exams and your mammograms and make sure you're up to date on all of that. So I did do my due diligence and made sure that I was up on that, but it took a little while for the doctors to actually find it and diagnose it with lobular carcinoma. And it's invasive lobular carcinoma, which is kind of difficult to find. But I am now at MD Anderson being treated, and everything is going well. I am to have another surgery because it was in the lymph nodes. And closer to November, and I will start radiation treatment as well. So I appreciate all the tips and the ideas of how to cure cancer on my own. I really do have tried multiple things. I have cut out sugar in my diet, so I know a lot of people will make comments on that. And I've gotten lots of books and encouragement and lots of doctors, but I do believe that MD Anderson is doing a great job of treating me, and I'm very happy to say that I have lots of energy and I'm in high spirits. Even going through chemo, I beat the odds of being completely nauseated and fatigued and all of that sickness that comes with chemo. I didn't have any of that. So I encourage anybody that's going through the same thing. My heart and prayers are out for you, and I will keep you in my thoughts if you want to make a comment of if you're going through the same thing. But I want to encourage everyone to know that my shop is great, I'm great, and for anybody that's wanting to know about my treatment, you can follow me on Facebook or Instagram at Brooke Rollerson 413 or Brooke Rollerson at Facebook and see all of the updates. Thank you so much for watching, and here's some tips on how to decorate this theme right here behind me. All right, so for today, I'm going to give you 5 tips on this particular themed tree that we have in our shop. It's actually a cardinal tree, so I'm really excited about it. It's more the traditional colors like whites, golds, reds, greens. And a lot of times I don't really kind of play around with that color scheme because it's just a go-to for everybody. I like to get creative with color schemes. And especially when I pick color schemes, I like to look at the person's home and actually look at and take it all in, all of their interior colors to see what tree theme would work best with their home. So I think it's important to kind of look at the overall picture before deciding your theme. So for this one, I'm going to give you a few tips on what I've done in this particular theme. For instance, like the ribbon I put on here is actually two different types of ribbons, and I've wove it through. You can look at the other videos on how to put ribbon on the tree, but this one you can see that there's two different textures. And when I applied these ribbons, I did one a little bit tighter, and then I came in here with the plaid and made it a little bit looser. This gives you dimension and depth to your tree, so it's not pulled tight, it's not too snug in, and it's not too far out on the tree. You can see where I have a larger loop here, and then I've started with a smaller loop over here, and then went in with the larger loops again. So it's kind of like a, I would say like jazz music, like it's unpredictable. You don't know what's going to go on, but it's very entertaining. Where if you talk about a nursery rhyme, it has a very strict pattern to it. So think about when you're decorating as jazz music. So it's just like, you hear the trumpet and the trombone and the saxophone, and everything is exciting. So it doesn't have to be a pattern continuously. So that is the first tip I'm going to give you about the ribbon, particularly on this tree here. So the next tip I want to go over is how to apply stems to your tree. And you can actually see a lot of videos previously where I've taken evergreens and applied it to the tree. Because even if you do a basic Christmas tree, one that's less expensive, you can apply really beautiful greenery stems and make it fuller, or you can make it more textural, or even contrast in color. So a lot of our trees are really beautiful as is. So this one in particular, I'm actually not going to add evergreens to it. I love this tree. This is actually an all-state tree, and it's got really nice flexible rubber tips to this. So when you shake the tree or you move it, you can kind of see that it kind of flows and has a little movement to it, which is really nice to make it look like a real tree. I love the color of this. It's a little bit lighter gray, and so it's going to give me a lot of contrast with the blue and the ribbon, and complement the color scheme of the ribbon as well. So when I go to stems, I'm going to use stems that are going to be addition to the color. So this is like a red leaf stem. Now when they come to us, they actually are kind of flattened like this, and there's lots of them in the box. And that's the best way for the company to package it and send it to us, so it's most affordable in shipping. But as a designer, I want this stem to be as most realistic as possible. So I'm going to manipulate a really nice quality stems, and you can tell with the wire in the stems, it's really easy to kind of bend them, but I'm going to manipulate that to look more like real life, how you would see it in nature. And so for this stem, we have like a small piece right here, and it's very this is not wired, so it doesn't come out. But what I can do is bend this stem here out and move it there, and now you can see I've got a flat surface. Same thing with here. When I decide what direction I'm going to apply this into the tree, I can start moving all of these leaves to give me the most surface area and to make it look the most natural. So you can see how this one stem, how I've manipulated the wired pieces to look, and then how it's flat and what it usually looks like here. So again, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to bend this away from the stem that actually doesn't have wire in it. So then I get that surface, and bend this one back, bend this one forward, and I'm just bending it to where it looks the best to me. There is no right or wrong way to do that. So it's not something like I could say like, oh, only designers can bend stems. No, you can bend stems, and you can bend it back and forth to make sure that you get the most space out of that stem. As we work our way up, we can bend this forward, bend it backwards, just separating the stems, and kind of like a zigzag Z pattern would give me more of that more natural look to it. And then the same thing here. I was once told by a great designer, the more you can touch the stem, the more areas that you can kind of bend and really play with, the more space and more natural it's going to look. And that's the ultimate goal when we're using artificial stems, is to make it look really natural. So I'm going to look at that stem and see where all the leaves are kind of facing when I bend it out. And it does seem like it's kind of facing this way. So what I want to do is bend it like this, so that when I apply it into the tree, the stem is going down. And then I'm just going to make sure that when I put that stem in the tree, that I get the most coverage out of those leaves. So I'm going to bend it back up this way, back over here, bend it that way. Maybe this one I bend this way and back, And then the same thing with here. Okay, so I like how that looks. So what I'm going to do is place it into the tree and down. And I'm going to push it down to where this break in the stem right here is the furthest hidden in the tree. Now we sell right off of our Christmas tree, so you'll see a lot of the tags on them are there, and that's the reason why we leave the tags, because people can buy right off the tree. Good thing about buying right off this tree is I've already manipulated all the stems so they can pull it right off, and it's already ready to go on their tree. So I'm going to place that in there where that break is a little bit further in. And now you can see how it like really beautifully cascades down the tree. And if I need to, I can go back in here and just twist some of these around to make sure that they are seen the most. And bend this one down if it comes out too much. Now, I don't want it to be too snug to the tree. I want to have, again, more movement, and I want it to be really natural. So I'm going to kind of position a couple of these to kind of spread out so they're not flat against the other stems and leaves. And see how much depth that creates, because now I've got this beautiful stem cascading down the tree, and you can see how this leaf is here and this one comes out. And if you look at this from the side, you can see the light moving through it. So it's really pretty, and where your lights are in your home, it's reflecting that kind of that tinsel on these leaves. So you have a lot of reflection and a lot of light that's kind of bouncing around. And so I placed this one already. You can kind of see how this one is the next one in line to kind of be placed down. And I'll continue with several other stems all the way around the tree. Now, a lot of times I will build up certain areas. Like you can see this leaf and this leaf here. These stems are kind of closer together. When I move around the tree, I might have a bigger space between those so that I can make sure that there is your eye moves around the tree. You always want to make sure that when you look at your tree, there's something always interesting to look at. So something tucked in, something coming out, that helps with your ribbon to have the movement go around the tree. But then you want to have resting places. Like any designer, you want to have resting places so it's not overwhelming. A lot of times with our trees, when you see it on video, it might look like there's a lot on there. But keep in mind that we sell off our tree. And I do not want to decorate 20 trees all over again. So I'm going to make them packed full so that when the customers come in and they pull their stems off of the tree, I don't have to go back and redecorate it. So the customers that come in the beginning, they'll see a really big, full decorated tree. At the end of the season, when it's picked over, it's still really beautifully decorated, no matter what they pull off of that tree. I'm going to give you another stem tip, and this is actually a branch. And this is a gold glitter branch. They come in two sizes. This is from Allstate. My leaf stem right here is also from Allstate. And ribbons I have from D. Stevens, and actually both of those are from D. Stevens ribbons, which are a really high quality ribbon that I like to use here in the shop. We do carry quite a bit of it. And so this is actually a stem that doesn't have a lot of wire in it. I do have a little bit. I'm just going to push the limits a little bit with this just to see if I can separate the branches a little bit more. I don't want to break it, so I'm just kind of like simply apply pressure to see where and what I can do with it. And I noticed that I can't really do more than that. And so these came in two different sizes, and I applied the larger stems to the top of the tree, and then I'm going to trickle down a little bit of the smaller stems here and around. Now with these stems, what I want to do is just kind of spread it out a little bit more as I go down the tree, where it's heavier at the top of the tree. And I'm going to place those pretty far into the tree. And what I like about this is it gives me actually another surface with this branch to hang things on. For instance, we have the birds, the little cardinals, and they have clips on them in the bottom. Aren't these cute? So the red cardinals are really popular with our shop. This is from Melrose. And what I'm going to do is actually just clip that bird right onto the branch. And then that gives me even more depth to that tree. Now you can see how that cardinal is kind of perched right there on the branch. I do have a smaller one up here perched. Oh, he's falling over. So this one is going to be tucked in a little bit further in the tree so that I have, again, you have depth. You have the smaller bird on the branch coming out. the bigger birds tucked in, and they're kind of having a conversation here. You could just imagine if this was real, that these cardinals are talking to each other or they're jumping from branch to branch. And that's really what you want it to be, as natural as possible. Now, my last tip is going to be to apply the ornaments in here. You can already see that I've got the gold Mercury looking ornaments. These are plastic, and I like to take the plastic ornaments and tuck them deep into the tree because they're giving me pops of color. And then I'm going to take 3 different size ornaments that are the cardinal right here. Now this is going to have a white look to it, so you're going to see a lot of this because white stands out so much more than the red and the green, so you've got that contrast. What I would typically do is when I have white on here that's going to stand out like polka dots, I want to make sure that I do either a tree skirt that has white in it, or somewhere in the home there's more white in there, so that it's not just this overwhelming polka dotted look when you walk into the home. So I'm always thinking about, well, with this home, what would it look like? Would it have a white couch, or would it have a white rug, or, would the walls be white? Something that's going to coordinate with that tree's theme. So this ornament, it actually comes in 3 sizes. So I have a large one, a medium one, and a smaller one, and they all have the little cardinals on them and the green leaves, and then it's just majority white. And what I'm going to typically do is just mix these up, but I'm going to start with the smaller one at the top of the tree, and then I'm going to do the medium ones in the middle of the tree and the larger ones at the bottom of the tree. Now, that's not to say that I'm going to take all of them and put them all at the top, all the mediums, all the large in that order. I might mix up a few just so that there might be like something like this, maybe a cluster of them together. So, and the best thing to remember is you don't want it to be that it's evenly spread out, especially with ornaments like this, that your eye is going to be drawn to that white stark color. You want to make sure that you kind of cluster them a little bit more together to make it a little bit more unpredictable. So let's start with, say I'm going to put this ornament right here. And with the artificial tree, I always bend up the tips right here, so that if anybody were to walk by or they wanted that ornament, it's not going to slide off in any way. And I'm going to make sure that the face of that ornament is placed outwards. So I always make sure that's hanging straight. And you could do that with artificial trees. It's really easy. And that's there. And then maybe I'll put the smaller one right here and bend that stem up. Again, another thing great with artificial trees is that you can put multiple ornaments on one stem, and it really works well. And then here is this one. And this one's just so big that I might even tuck this one in a little bit further into the tree. And maybe I'll go with a taller branch that's up under this ribbon, because the ornament is going to hang downwards. And I'm just going to tuck that in and make sure that the face of the ornament is sticking out. So when I walk up to this tree, I can really see the differences of the size ornaments and the way they look. And I've got something interesting to look at everywhere. Now, if this one seems to be falling down a little bit more and maybe covering up some, so I'll slide it in a little bit further and then make sure that ornament is not blocking anything, and I can move that leaf around and then twist it. So I just tucked it in a little bit more. So there you have 3 different types of ornaments, and you could see how this is making like a more of a triangular shape. I've got the large one at the bottom, then 2 clustered, and then I'll put some smaller ones at the top and maybe a couple smaller ones at the bottom to kind of intersperse. But the majority of the ornaments are going to be medium size in this area here, smaller in this area, and then the larger ones towards the bottom. And just intersperse some of them a little bit up and down the tree. So there you have quite a few tips. I was aiming for 5. I might have given you a few more just to help you start your Christmas theme and help you start your Christmas holiday. Something that for us, we're starting a little bit early just because you never know with treatments and cancer and what's going on, doctor visits, everything is kind of up in the air. So I'm going to give you as many tips as I possibly can while I can. And I hope you have a great holidays and you enjoy decorating your tree. Let me know in the comments if you need any other tips or what you're looking for. Thank you very much.